Hello everyone, this is your Sir Erwin Morbuan and this is our video lecture in creative writing. As we all know, authenticity is vital in writing as it would reveal how good we are in crafting our own style, the content and the impact of the stories or narratives that we are writing. To be recognizable in the world of writing, one must have his own style. One must have a unique approach to writing, and one must have the required creativity to appeal to the mass or to the readers. And one thing that we usually observe for writers are their diction. Aside from the content or the impact of their story, of course, we always um, scrutinize the technicality of their works. And one technicality that is very noticeable is their diction. And in this video lecture, we will be talking about the effective use of words or how can one improve diction. So this is technical in the English language, so I hope you can catch up and can learn something from the suggested ways to improve one's writing. When we say writing style, this refers to how a writer craft or deliver his stories by using several literary elements or figurative languages. So basically, the style of the writer anchors or depends on his use of the language. And one of its factors is the use of diction or the use of words. Take, take note, the style of a writer or the diction differs from one writer to another, although there are writers who have a similar diction, but we can still notice authenticity in their works. For example, we have Shakespeare, the famous poet or English poet. His writing style during his time was very conventional in that era. And when we say conventional, meaning to say it is something that follows certain rules or guidelines set by a certain standards. And of course, the English diction during those time, no, sa time ni Shakespeare is very deep kag medyo malayo sa contemporary English that we have right now. So that's something very recognizable get. And another example is the style of Langlev. So Langlev, by the way, is the most loved and most hated poet here in the Philippines. So she is an international bestseller poet, no, and her style is very evoking of emotion. It's very simple kung tanaway natin, but her vocabulary or her use of words is somehow personally makambal ako nga out of this world. It's creative, it's organized, it's unique, and maybe unusual. So that's from my point of view because I love long live, no, but how we see these styles of these writers may differ man of, so depende man sa how we see them or consume these products that they offer to us. Now let's proceed to what diction is. So when we say diction, so this is the speaker's word choice that helps define the written or spoken word and express his or her style in writing. Of course, it plays a significant role in the quality of your writing. So, style in writing is as important as its substance. So, poor style and tone impede effective communication. And of course, words are the tools for writing. So, it's like the very main ingredient when we are writing, right? This is what gives color and texture to what we write. And always remember that as a writer, you must use the most appropriate words in writing to convey your thoughts clearly. So that's what some writers do. No? So they use familiar words, others use highfalutin words, and it's up to the readers to discover what the meaning of these words are. And of course, these words definitely define the kind of style may ara ang writer. And we have two forms of diction. We have the formal diction, which is basically the language used by the educated people to write scholarly articles. So sa aton nga academic writing, so ang tawag sina is formal diction. So when you read scholarly articles such as research papers, formal essays, news articles. So they are usually written in a sophisticated and sometimes technical language to give it what we call this elevated discourse. So that kind of writing usually allude to books, events, or ideas that can't be grasped by a reader with less education. So it requires a certain degree of understanding of the formal language or a certain degree of education to get the meaning of these vocabularies or of this formal diction na ginatawag natin. On the other hand, when we say informal diction, so this refers to the language of the educated people used in everyday conversation. So it's like normal interaction between two people. So informal diction, so it is also commonly used in journalism and expository writing, such as feature writing, sports writing. So they are not that formal. They are journalistic languages and they are considered as informal diction. So they mainly target consumption. So the purpose of informal diction is to allow ordinary people to read and understand the piece of writing. And although such language is characterized by prose, so it is not the same as colloquial speech. So colloquial speech is very different naman from the what we call informal diction. So colloquial language is commonly associated with people with minimal education. So ina mga slang, mga tawag siniho, very informal nga mga expression, nga mga terminologies nga usually nababatian natin sa mga kalye, something like that. So, tawag sila is colloquial or slangs. So, in writing, colloquial and slang is sometimes used to capture moods. And the use of specific diction can allow the reader to enter the writer's world. Of course, the writers need to appeal to its audience. That's why it is good nga dapat balaan man sang writer no kung ano nga language or words ang dapat nga gamiton nga maka-capture kid sa attention sang iya nga readers. So anhan mo man ang very formal nga diction kung ikaw lang ang kaintindi. Anhan mo man ang formal diction kung boring siya pamatian kay pang-academic na siya. Diba? So something like that. Again, the two forms of diction, we have the formal for academic writing and the informal diction nga ginagamit naton usually sa day-to-day conversation kag mo ni siya ang language nga ginagamit natin sa creative writing. Another thing you need to remember is that in English language there are many synonyms to choose from, but each word has a slightly different meaning and evokes different senses and emotions. So choosing the right words for your purposes is an important part of becoming a strong writer. So take note of that, no, nga there are terms nga very generic siya. So kung gamiton mo siya, it might be nga ang interpretation sang isa might be different from uh, another reader because the term that you use is general or broad. So you need to be very specific kid as a writer of the words nga ginagamit nimo. Right? Addiction is highly personal. It's subjective. So ang may control sina or ang may authority sina is you as the writer. But always remember nga, you need to consider your audience when you are writing. Okay? Okay, for example, the P, you are a teenager. Of course, you will understand the language nga usually ginagamit sa mga teens and of course sa mga young adults, right? And if pasulaton ka dapi something about uh, sa mga bata or for kids. So obviously, you need to choose the language nga maintindihan man sa mga bata kay kung gamiton natin ang normal language that we use as teenagers basta hindi maintindihan sa mga bata under let's say 10 years old, diba? So kumbaga you need to fit the language that you use to the expected audience nga maggabasa sa imo nga work. And now here are some tips in order for you to improve your diction in English. The very first one is you need to use strong and exact verbs. So verbs, as we all know, these are action words and there are a lot of types sang action sang verbs. So we have the action verb, we have the linking verb, we have the helping verb, we have the verb phrases, etc. Okay, so I will give you notes for that para mabalaan nyo kung ano na siya. But in this lecture, we will just be focusing on the use of strong and exact verbs. So we have here on your screen. So we have here an example of a sentence nga may linking verb. So your linking verb, when we say linking verb, so these are commonly the verb to be. So in all of its forms, so examples are is, are, was, were, will be, was being, and has been. So other common linking verbs relate to the five senses. For example, to look, to feel, to smell, to sound, and to taste. So examples na sila sa mga linking verb natin. And here, we have here a sentence na may linking verb. So Anna's Halloween costume was terrifying to the children. So what is the linking verb here? Okay, so we have was as the linking verb. Now, kung tanawan natin na this sentence is grammatically correct, wala siya sala. However, one suggestion gani is to improve or we need to use strong and exact verbs to enhance our diction. So, meaning to say, kwaon naton ang aton nga linking verb here, kag isla naton sang strong and exact verb. So, how do we do that? So obviously we need to kakas the linking verb in this sentence. So as you notice na mayroon kita term nga was terrifying. So was terrifying is an example of a verb phrase. So when we say verb phrase, so may duha ka verb ang ini nga phrase. So we have the was, which is the linking verb, and then the terrifying, which is the main verb nga nag-served as adjective or nag-describe siya. So meaning to say, was terrifying, kaladlukan sa mga bata. So now, kakasuntay na siya. Ang aton nga linking verb nga was, kwaon naton. So here's the improved sentence. So we have Anna's Halloween costume terrified the children. So what have you noticed? Nadula ang was, kag ang terrifying naton ging obra naton siya nga action verb. So ang terrifying naging terrified. Nga man terrified because nasa past tense ang aton nga linking verb nga was. Okay? So nasa past tense man gyapon ang aton nga sentence, but the difference with the first sentence is that action verb na ang aton nga gingamit instead of linking verb. Okay? Another example, the members of the committee were sure that Gino was the winner of the contest. So our linking verb there are, were, and was. So kakaso naton na sila. And remember also that when we enhance our sentence or when we transform our sentence nga gamitin sang action verb, so we need to rephrase some terms. So when we say rephrase, isla naton ang words gid. So example here, uh, the committee were sure that Gino was the winner of the contest. So islantay na sa. So here's the improved sentence. So the members of the committee assured that Gino won the contest. So now this is a rephrase sentence and an improved one. So ginkakas naton ang aton nga mga linking verbs, ang where kag was na dula na. Ang aton nga sure giniislan naton sang verb form niya nga assure, but in past tense form, so assured. Okay? Kag ang was the winner of the contest, ginisla natin nga that Gino won the contest. So nagiging action verb na siya. So kumbaga may action na. Because always remember that in the English language, always manami nga magamit kita action verb as compared to the linking verb. Kaya daw mas may action, may mas may movement sa aton nga mga sentence dasan. Okay? Next, we have the noun verb noun format naton. No? So noun verb noun format is very classic form of sentence formation sa English language. So may duha ka noun nga ginapatungay ang isa ka verb. For example, the typhoon Undoy caused the flood in many areas in Manila. So the first noun there is typhoon Undoy, and our verb there is caused. And the second noun is the flood. So that's the noun verb noun format. Now, in the English language, as advice is needed gid nga may action verb ang aton nga verb. So isla naton. So typhoon Ondoy flooded areas in Manila. So as you have noticed, ang cause gindula kag ang second nga noun nga the flood or ang flood ginobra naton siya nga main verb or main action verb sang aton nga revised sentence. So that's how you improve the noun verb noun format of a sentence. Another example, Raven spoke about his father at the campaign in Maayon. So Raven is our first sentence and the verb there is spoke. The second qualified noun there is at the campaign. So at the campaign is what we called the prepositional phrase, no? And it contains a word or a noun nga pwede natin ma-transform as a verb. And that word is campaign. So now i-revise natin siya. So Raven campaigned for his father in maayon. So ginkakas natin ang spoke. Kinobra natin nga main verb ang campaign para hindi siya redundant pamatian. Kay kung mabalik kita sa noun verb noun nga forms ang sentence naton, so spoke at the campaign is redundant. So at the campaign usually nag-documented that. So you don't have to say nga nag-speak ka or whatsoever because it would sound nga paulit-ulit. Okay? So next, the use of passive and the active voice. So this is a very interesting topic in the English language, no? The passive and the active voice. And always remember that active voice is always preferred over the passive voice. Because passive is negative. It's negative meaning to say your sentence is weak. Your sentence is somehow not that interesting. Okay, now let's define the two. When we say passive, the action, or the subject rather, the subject is the receiver of the action. Magambal kita active, the subject is the doer of the action. Okay, now let's have some example. Under passive, we have this. The sun was covered by big lonely clouds. So take note, may linking verb kita sa passive. Ha? May linking verb kita. Not always, but usually may ara kita linking verb sa aton nga passive voice. And another clue there is my word nga by. Okay? So kung tanawan naton ang aton nga example, our subject here is the sun. And our verb phrase there is was covered, meaning to say that's the action. Okay? And the sun received that action. So, sino ang ging-covered? Ang sun. So, ang sun ang nag-receive ng action. Now, sino ang nag-cover sa sun? So, we have the big lonely clouds or ang clouds. So, that's your passive voice. Example. So, as for the active voice, so baliktaron naton or i-reverse naton ang aton nga example sa passive voice o brahon naton nga active voice. So, this is how it would turn out. So, the big lonely clouds covered the sun. So, nadula ang aton nga linking verb, nadula ang aton nga word nga by. Kaya ang aton nga subject, which is the clouds, muna na siya ang action. Ang action. And then, anong action? Covered. Or rather, ang clouds naton, muna na siya ang the doer of the action. And the action is covered. Anong gin-covered? Ang sun. So, ginbaliktad natin sila. Okay? Another example. The clock was made by the Japanese. The clock was made by the Japanese. So our subject is the clock, which is the receiver of the action. So what is the action or the verb? Was made. Okay, and sino ang nag-made or sino nag-ubra? So we have the Japanese. So that's your passive sentence. Now transform natin into active. So it would turn out like this. The Japanese made the clock. So as simple as that, ginbaliktad natin. So atin yung subject is the Japanese, the doer of the action, and the action or the verb is made, and the receiver of that action is the clock. Alright, so that's your passive and active voice. Next, we have to use specific words. So as what I have said earlier in this video, there are terms in English nga very generic or napaka-broad nga kung atin basahon might be nga maglain ako interpretation kag maglain man ang inyo nga interpretation because it's too generic. So we need to use very specific words or very fitting words magsulat kita. So we have here, for example lang sang word. So we have the word look. So ang look is a broad term. and it has a lot of synonyms. So we have stared, we have observe, we have glance, we have scrutinize. So those are the synonyms of look. And kung tan-away natin, no, each synonym has a specific definition. Kag they are different from each other. For example, kung gamiton natin ang stare, magambal kita stare, gintulok, isang madugay. For example, she stares at her crush. So, muna, stare, meaning to say, tulukon, isang madugay. Another one is observe. So, magambal kita observe. Let's put it into a context. So, she observes her crush. Magambal naman kita observe. Ginalantaw mo nga ginasundan mo siya, ginastalk mo siya. You assume kung ano ang next nga movement or whatsoever. So, observe na siya tawag kon. So, next, we have the term glance. So, she glanced at her crush. Magambal kita glance naman niya. It's just a quick look into something or someone. So, nagsiding lang siya. Okay? Another one, scrutinize. So, let's say, for example, she scrutinizes her crush. So, maghambal kita na scrutinize naman niya. It's an act of looking at something or someone nga daw gina-criticize naton, gina-judge naton, gina-dissect naton, or something nga daw investigative ang dating niya. So, we are scrutinizing. Okay? Alright. Another term, so we have both. Both is another generic term in the English language. Kag damo-damo ni siya synonym or damo-damo types sang boat. So we have ship, we have raft, we have submarine, we have yacht, and so much more. So, anong ginagamit neton mag-cruise kita? So we have the ship, mga dalaguan nga boat nga nag-travel around the world or from one location to another location for tourism purposes. Another boat, we have the yacht or yate. So, yate, are usually small boats nga mga mahal. Mahal na sila, and these are usually owned by mga millionaires or billionaires, something like that. So, it's like a luxury boat na ginagamit mag travel or mag-relax, something like that. Now we have the submarine. Submarine is another type of boat nga ginagamit naman sa mga army or sa navy to secure a certain area under the sea of a country. Okay. So, muna, so submarine na siya tawagkon. So, it's a type of boat, and you cannot use them interchangeably because it would affect the meaning of your sentence. Kung let's say, for example, instead of using yacht, ang gingamit mo submarine. Instead of using submarine, ang gingamit mo ship. So, nagbalangki ay na to imo dayon nga context dason, hindi na siya organized or hindi na siya appropriate nga mga terms. Okay? Next is to use specific colors. So as we all know, there are a lot of colors in the world. Okay, so damo-damo colors. So there's no specific numbers for the numbers of color nga may ara kita. Okay, damo-damo gidya. And under these different colors that we can see or that can be seen by our naked eyes, may ara pagid numbers of shades of colors. For example, where is my book? What book are you trying to find, my friend? Look at the book. Where's the book? So for example, the color red, so we have a lot of color red out there. So we have crimson red, blood red, we have apple red, we have the warm shade of red, we have a bright shade of red, etc. And in creative writing, no, to achieve a very effective description nga mag-appeal gid sa aton nga imagery, we need to use specific shade of color because kung magamit lang kita, let's say for example, her dress was red, something like that. So, damo-damo shades sang red. So, ano nga klase sang red? So, it might be nga the interpretation of one reader might be different from another because red is a general color, damo-damo shades sang red. So, you need to be specific what kind of red ang ginasoksok niyo nga dress. Is it burgundy? Is it crimson? Is it apple red or blood red? So, you need to be specific, not just color red. So same with other colors like yellow. So sa yellow we have mustard, we have banana, we have khaki, we have trombone, we have gold, we have cyber yellow, etc. So same with the color blue. So we have royal blue, navy blue, bright blue, blue butlugon, joke lang. And damo shades sang colors natin. So, again, when we try to describe something, magsulat kita. So, we need to be specific with the colors nga ginagamit natin. Okay? Next is, we need to avoid cliches. So, cliches, these are terms nga overused na. Let's say, for example, kabataan ng pag-asa ng bayan ay hindi magmahal sa sariling wika higit pa sa amoy ng malansang isda, something like that. So these are examples of cliches or overused terms. So cliches like raining cats and dogs and so hungry you could eat a horse are worn out expression that hardly add anything to your work. So they make your sentences weak and boring. So over time they become overused that they already lost their gleam. And in writing, cliches or overused terms should be avoided. And if you attempt using these cliches, you should change them to new and direct expressions. So, in creative writing, no, you need to, or you are encouraged to be figurative in the use of language. However, sometimes we need to be aware kung ano ang appropriate nga terms or idiomatic expressions, let's say cliches, nga gamiton naton nga makahatag sang color sa aton nga kinasulat. So, hindi ka lang dapat magpinabuang. So, you need to be very aware kung ano gid ang fitting or appropriate sa imo nga ginasulat. So again, we need to avoid cliches. So we have here an example. So when Ariel finally said yes to his proposal, Carl was on cloud 9. So the obvious nga cliche there is cloud 9. So cloud 9, magambal kita cloud 9. It's an idiomatic expression inang daw gindala ka sa langit, something like that. Now i-revise natin o brown natin siya nga direct. So when Ariel finally said yes to his proposal, Carl was overjoyed. So gindirect natin siya using the literal language, overjoyed instead of cloud 9. Another example, I don't care if the plan doesn't work out, for I have other fish to try. So our cliche here is fish to try, and it's overused, obviously. So we will revise this. So I don't care if the plan doesn't work out, for I have other things to do. So instead of fish to try, ang gingamit natin is other things to do. Okay, so again, from a figurative, kinobra natin siya nga literal. Next. So this is an example of passage with an overused term. Kumbaga nang pulit-ulit mo laging gamit ang isa ka term within the paragraph or within the sentence. So in this case, kung mabasa ninyo, so gina-describe si Captain Barbell as powerful. Kag ang powerful, ging-repeat siya multiple times. So powerful, or power. So it's redundant kag hindi siya healthy for us for a one paragraph nga multiple mo gingamit ang isa ka term. So isla naton ang term nga powerful with its synonyms. Ano ang mga appropriate synonyms nga pwede naton maggamit aside sa powerful nga term. So kung i-revise natin siya, so this will how it turn out. So ang powerful, ginisla natin sang endearing. We have real life characters, complicated challenges instead of powerful challenges, and so on. Para hindi siya daw paulit-ulit pamatian. Okay, so we need to avoid redundancies and overuse certain term in our paragraph or write-ups. Now, here's another thing no nga gina-discourage sa creative writing. So, we need to avoid deadwood words. Ini mga deadwood words nga ini, these are transitional phrases nga ginagamit natin sa aton mga essays. So, sa essays, pwede sila gamitin. But if it's in creative writing, so we need to avoid them. So, deadwood words, so they act as a relevant addition to a sentence or to a phrase, so we need to avoid them. So examples here, mga mo na sila. Yan. So deadwood words na sila tawgon. They sidetrack the meaning of the sentence and therefore they confuse the readers. So they are words that pad, expand, and fill out spaces but do not contribute to the overall meaning of the sentence. Okay? We have here examples of a sentence nga may deadwood words. Actually, I feel kind of disappointed to the extent that I no longer sort of care who wins because my team was basically eliminated. So, my deadwood words. So, obrahon ta in a concise way i-transform natin. So, I feel disappointed and no longer care who wins because my team was eliminated. So, ang deadwood terms or words such as actually, kind of, to the extent, and sort of, kag ang basically, ging kakas naton siya kay damo so wala man sila nag-add gid sang meaning sa aton nga sentence. Okay, so that's just one example. Next, so we need to avoid redundancies as what I have said kaina, no? So example here, so he could not get in the house because the key he used was too small in size. So small is already referring to size, so you don't have to say size. Okay? So, revert natin or transform natin ng sentence. He could not get in the house because the key he used was small. So, as simple as that. Ginkuha lang ang size. And we have, okay? Next is we need to avoid wordiness. So, whenever possible, write simple sentences. Do not make your sentences lengthy and contrived. And you can tighten the structure of your sentences by eliminating some words, phrases, or clauses. So the redundancy man siya gyapon, no? Kag avoiding deadwood words. So here are some examples and compare them to the transformed sentences. See for yourself. To reach our goal, we need suggestions that are fresh and at the same time effective. So concise. To reach our goal, we need fresh and effective ideas. So shorter and more precise. His mother is an actress and she is a former beauty queen. Concise. His mother is both an actress and a former beauty queen. Okay. Alright, so again, we need to avoid wordiness. Alright, so that's all for your diction topic. I hope clear, no, sa aton. And always remember to be very specific, to be very direct when you write something creatively. And always remember na dapat appealing sa aton nga readers ang aton nga diction or aton nga use of language. So if you have any concerns or questions, please message me through my messenger. Okay, so thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have learned from this video lecture. God bless everyone.
Well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'll be sad without you. I want you to have it all.